Welcome to a new episode of These Go to 11. Let's turn it up. Hey everybody, welcome back to These Go to 11, an unchurchy conversation about everyday faith. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and review on your favorite podcast platform. This not only helps us to get our content out there, but also helps us to find out what you, our faithful listeners, think. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to These Go to 11. Once again, I'm Nathan Bell. Joining me as always, Greg Dutcher. Greg, what is going on, my friend?
What up, playa?
What up, players?
That's a call back from the past. And, dude, it's been a while, so if you've heard it, audience, I'll keep it short and sweet, but I'll never forget rounding the corner into the auditorium, heading back, from my office on a Sunday morning. I'm going to go and get ready for service, going to preach, and see my boy Nathan there. He's the only one I see. And I see him there. I'm like, what up, player? And you kind of had a weird look. And as I took the corner, you're on the outskirt of a whole group praying. Which, of course, as you know, dude, I corrected. I meant, what up, prayer? Dude, how am I still here? How has the entire church not said, what are we doing here with this total schlub? Anyway, dude, that was, remember for a while when you were in the driver's seat with other hosts.
Yes.
Very good hosts, Mr. Hartland and Bartles and Bartleball.
Yep.
And I would come back for a guest cast in all these intervening years, and that was always how I'd break into it. What up, players?
That was always Bartle's favorite.
Oh, my goodness. I remember, that would crack him up. And I got that from it was, first time I heard it, it was late 90s, and I was working with the youth ministry at Still Meadow, where I worked with Dave Shive. I was like a kind of a utility pastor my first couple of years there, and, different. The smaller church, kind of an urban, suburban mix, really exciting, way to start. And one of my tasks was youth ministry work. And there was a kid there who was like this nerdy white kid. That's the context of this. And he was bringing a girlfriend there. For some reason, I think her name was Shannon, as if it matters. This is just me going down memory lane. And Lisa and I noticed... she wasn't there, and he was bringing a new girl to church, and we kind of asked one time, this kid, I think Joshua, I said, Joshua, did, we haven't seen Shannon or whatever, and he was like, nah, man, I dumped her, man. I dumped her because, I met this new girl, and she's fine and all this, and of course Lisa's like, wow. Oh boy, and so we were saying, "Oh, okay. Well, is she okay? Is she doing okay?" And I mean, I guess. And I think we somehow asked her, like, "Well, what did you say when it broke up?" I said, "What could I say?" I said, "Baby, hate the game, not the player." Some little, probably 13-year-old needed to be smacked upside of his head or something. Not that I was going to do that, but that has stuck all these years later, dude. That was probably 25 years ago now. Hate the game, not the player. I'm sure our audience is appreciating this start to our new fourth. Thank you, everybody. But come on, we're just coming out of a pretty serious.
That's right. That was a good, heavy
I liked
month.
It, dude. June. I think you said at the last episode last week that you missed it, and I did too, dude. And I look forward. There are so many ways we can return. In another season to some Old Testament. Maybe with a little more focus. Maybe we focus on poetry. Because I was thinking back, we didn't talk too much about poetry, which is fine. We didn't talk too much about the wisdom literature. And how that points to Jesus. So there's plenty of material.
Oh yeah. Dude, it's the Bible. We're never going to run out.
I was going to say, I don't think...
We've been going 10 years, and we're still going, so...
I think we will never exhaust or plumb the depths, as they say.
Yep.
So, and we head into a new theme.
Well, before we do that, I do want to remind everyone that throughout the month of July, we are going to be giving away 2 books. And Greg, I'm going to have you
It is
remind
God's Big Picture.
God's Big Picture.
Tracing the Storyline of the Bible by Vaughn Roberts. It's a really great resource. He does a great job of just showing the thread line that runs through. So we see the Bible. Oh, it really is a story
yeah.
of God as the main character reclaiming his lost creation. It's really well done, and I think it'll be a great resource for people that want to just go a little deeper into seeing the unity and the one story nature of the Scripture.
Awesome. So yes, please listen to any of the 4 or all 4 of those podcasts, and then like, comment, review, send an email, just something to indicate this was the podcast that kind of spoke to me.
Yep.
And then we'll put you in the drawing. And then in August, when we do our movie review, our summer movie review that we're going to do, we will go ahead and announce 2 winners.
Yes.
That will receive a copy of those books. Remember, if you are international, we are definitely getting that to you digitally.
I'm so glad you said that, because I've learned the hard way.
Yes.
Trying to go Amazon International is a Herculean task.
Well, in fairness, we have the same problem here in America where things can go missing even if they're delivered.
Absolutely.
And so we just international, we're going to send you a digital copy. If you are local, and by local, I mean in America.
Yep.
We will send you your choice. It could be digital, or it could be a physical hard copy of the book if that's your preference.
Yes, absolutely.
So, but more on that later.
Yes.
Dude, 4th of July coming up.
Yeah, which is our kickoff of kind of our series summer. We could have done this in June, but honestly, dude, the kids were in school so late, at least the county schools around here.
Yeah.
Thought, let's kind of make our summer focus, making the most of summer.
Yeah.
Is our July theme.
Yep.
And when we realized, we start on July 1, and we are just a stone's throw from the 4th.
Yeah. Well, and dude, we do it every year, and hey, I like tradition, so let's keep going.
Yeah.
4th of July is coming up on Friday.
Yep.
What are your plans?
Yeah, dude, we still kind of forming a little bit, but it'll be the nuclear Dutcher family.
Yep.
You know how that is, dude.
Sure.
With my kids' age, some of them might be with some friends later in the evening.
Yep.
But I think during the bulk of the day, we're just going to do a good old traditional cookout.
Yep.
Dude, don't you? I just love the cookout.
Yeah.
Fire up the grill.
Yep.
Burgers, dogs. Sometimes we'll do sausage. We'll do, kind of. Lisa has learned this great method, dude, of just boneless chicken breasts, the super thin cutlets.
Yeah.
And do those things. She gets those. She marinates them usually in a couple of choices. The kids are really into that stuff. So I might throw a few of those on there. And then, dude, we'll have some other family. I think my parents certainly, you bring some desserts and salad. And just enjoy being together.
Yeah.
I just, in my neighborhood, a lot of people will be out on their decks grilling, firing up.
Yep.
Have some music going and just enjoy being together. Fireworks, dude, we did go last year, and I went. I am such a curmudgeon. I always say, come on, guys, can't we stay home? We had a great day, watch a movie, or let's watch some fireworks online. If you've seen one, you've seen them all. Let me guess, is there going to be a grand finale? And can I avoid the mosquitoes, the bugs crawling on me, laying in the grass somewhere, the 2 hours to get out of the parking lot at Southampton Middle School where we typically watch them?
Yep.
But, dude, I would not be surprised. We'll probably do that.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Lisa has urged me to be a little less complainy. That, as I always say, the time goes fast.
Yep.
We've got some of our kids want to be together. Do that. Why not do it?
Sure.
Like I said, it may be 2 of the 4, may even be 1 of the 4. I doubt it'll be, to get all 4 now with their busy lives is unrealistic. We don't try to push that. They'll be with us during the day.
Sure.
It'll be fun. What about you?
Yeah. So we will be, as this is dropping, I will not say as this is recording.
Yes.
But as this is dropping, Joy and I are currently in the throes of cousins camp.
That's right.
And our plan this year is to go until tomorrow, Wednesday, with Cousins Camp. And then Thursday, we're going to take her brother and sister-in-law's kids back up to New York.
Yep.
So we'll be there with them, get there sometime, early to late afternoon on July 3rd.
Yep.
So Thursday. And then Friday, we're going to spend the 4th of July with them.
Nice.
They have a big parade and fireworks show, and they'll do cookout and all that stuff. So we'll spend that with them. And then Saturday, we leave from their house. So they're up in Syracuse, New York. We leave from their house, and then we start our trek over to New England, where we start our vacation. So,
nice.
Looking forward
you got
to
a busy week or so coming up, dude.
Yeah,
a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
you're gonna, but it's a good busy.
It is.
Right?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, just having the memories with the kids. Joy and I were debating on what we were going to do with them, and she was like, I don't know, I think it would be fun to have 3 kids in the car and take a road trip with them. And
all right.
You're sick,
yeah.
but okay.
Right. Hopefully they don't get car sick, right?
Yeah, they don't, and they are super good travelers.
Mm-hmm.
So looking forward to the adventures that Aunt Joy and Uncle Nathan are going to have.
That's fun, man. As I said, I love what you guys do with the kids and the whole Cousins Camp thing and the fun. Dude, they will remember that. So here's why I like this podcast. We do it. We don't tend to deviate too much. This is going to be a less serious topic.
Yep.
We will get back to those next week.
Yep.
And as we, even though it's kind of making the most of summer,
yes,
we're going to talk about a number of things like not falling out of spiritual habits.
Yep.
Actually, going to do a special one on, dare I say it, church attendance.
Right.
Which in the summer, So we'll talk about it. I promise. It is a guilt-free podcast. The goal is not to shame anyone for going on vacation.
That's right.
I will shame people that don't invite me on their vacation.
There you go.
I've offered to be a traveling chaplain for many families. I'm saying I'll even serve the Lord by leaving my family for a week to be a guest of your vacation. And for some reason, nobody takes me up on that.
I just request my own room, my own lodgings,
exactly.
And that you don't need me at all.
Yeah, you don't need me at all. And, I'm just willing to stay out of your way and go out.
But I will be in my own space praying for you as you and your family do your things.
Exactly. If you need me, call Matt back home. So anyway, we're going to cover those things.
Yep.
But one of the things I love about the 4th, I don't know, dude, what it is. It just hits my nostalgia feels.
Yeah.
And when I think of being alive and joyful and just connected to the world around me and a sense of anticipation and excitement, it is not hard for me to get that by just envisioning the 4th, the family, the cookout, the fireworks, summer, no school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you kind of have vibes like that too?
I do. Yeah. Let me ask you something. Growing up, what did your 4ths typically look like? Was that something that was just with the nuclear family, or did you guys have extended family that you'd hang with? How did those look for you guys?
Predominantly, it was the nuclear family, but it varied because this dovetailed with the 4th. I should have confirmed this with my brother or my parent. Well, my brother would probably remember. My parents might not at 84 remember. But early 80s, so I'm 10, 11, maybe 12, probably wasn't much past 82. I remember that one in particular because it was summer, and I think our vacation was probably like mid to late July, so that's coming up.
Yep.
Going down to Sunset Beach, North Carolina, and you're just loving being off school. And my brother and I, our best friends, Rob and Craig, they were twin brothers that were right between our ages.
Yep.
So my brother is 3.5 years older. The Crafts, my friends, were probably right in the split of that difference.
Sure.
So we all just hung and enjoyed. We'd go riding bikes and playing pickup stickball games, baseball games, getting a few quarters and dimes, going to 7-Eleven, feeling like you're a king.
Yep.
I mean, just Slim Jims and Slurpees and Hubba Bubba.
Right.
Those are my memories. And
Bazooka.
Bazooka. I remember the Bazooka stuff, dude, and the little comics strips in the gum and all those fun things. And my cousins Scott and Brian that lived in Charlotte, North Carolina, and Rick and Cheryl, That's my mom's brother, Rick, and his wife Cheryl. Well, Rick wasn't with them, but the Cheryl and her boys, who were again my cousins Scott and Brian. Brian was the youngest. Scott was about my age, but we were all pretty close when we'd see them. We just didn't get to see them as much.
Sure.
They came through Baltimore or Maryland, and so they were going to spend one night with us, and then they were going up, ironically, to upstate New York, which you just referenced, to see some of Cheryl's family. So we were like, oh, it's only one night and one day, essentially, but that's cool. Dude, this is like a kid's dream.
Mm-hmm.
She pulled in, and the car was making a funny sound. So my dad helps her, looks at it. They take it to my dad's guy, and they needed a part. And, dude, they were there for 3 days.
Nice.
And that dovetailed with a fourth.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
All I got is the feels right now.
Right.
Now, if I could time travel, there were probably moments that aren't as good as they are in my nostalgic picture of it, the way I've frozen it. But, dude, fireworks. We're staying up watching movies. We're playing Stratego. They had brought their bikes. They were on top of the car.
Mm-hmm.
We took them down because they were going to be with us a couple of days, and it was just epic. We were so disappointed when the car was finally fixed.
Yeah.
But I think they must have left on like July 5th.
Yep.
And they had to delay their trip and reschedule a little bit. That, dude, to me is like the quintessential summer.
Yeah.
And so the fourth, normally we just did the nuclear thing.
Yep.
And we might see friends throughout the day, but my parents had managed to take us, I think, Luskin's in Parkville. You used to be able to watch. It was like up on a hill. You used to be able to watch the fireworks. I remember there was like a little snowball stand on wheels that was always in the parking lot. Just a lot of sweet traditions.
Yeah.
That was mine. What about yours?
Yeah, very, very similar in that regard. Mostly the nuclear family.
Yep.
Throughout the day, we'd get together with friends as they were available.
Yeah.
A lot of friends, they'd have family over for various parts of the day. And so, at various times, we'd have to leave or they'd have to leave. And, like you said, the cookout, right? That was a big part of the day. Burgers, dogs, potato salad, coleslaw, all the stuff.
Yeah.
And then the evening was always marked by fireworks, right?
Yeah.
And I can remember I grew up in Loudon, little town in New Hampshire. Concord is the capital of New Hampshire, about 20 minutes away. That's typically where we'd go to see fireworks. Manchester was where you really got to see fireworks.
I bet.
So
I bet.
My parents were never big on going to Manchester. It was about 40 minutes away.
Yeah.
They were never really big on doing that.
It
But,
sounds like parents, doesn't it?
Yeah.
As kids, we're like, come on.
Right.
The parents are like, forget that, man. The traffic,
That's
the
right.
headache, the distance.
I know. All of
So
it.
true.
All of it.
Yeah.
So I can remember a few times, the special, like, hey, we got to go and go into Manchester and see the good fireworks.
Yeah.
But that was pretty typically it.
Yeah.
I can remember one summer in particular that I was traveling over to Europe on the 4th. I was going to be spending an entire summer on a mission trip.
Yeah.
And so we were flying out of Chicago on July 4th, and so I can remember very vividly flying, being up above the clouds and seeing fireworks.
Yes.
Off in the distance, and that perspective of fireworks, and just being amazed at this new perspective that I'd never seen before.
Yeah.
So again, just very fond memories of it. Thinking through like, typically when we got out of school and when we were starting again, that probably marked about the halfway point for us.
Yeah.
Because I went to small private school, but back then they didn't believe in doing the minimum days, so we had a lot more than normal. So we were kind of in line with public schools.
Yeah.
in their days. So, like the 4th typically marked that halfway point for us. So
Yeah.
I can remember, getting to the 4th, and it's almost like Christmas, summer Christmas,
Mhm.
right? It's just the anticipation of it, of all the things that are going on.
Summer Christmas.
And then,
Ooh, that might be a good title.
right?
It is like summer Christmas.
It is. It's
Yeah.
it's the holiday that's coming up, and
It is.
you're not doing gifts or anything like that, but,
Yeah.
but the celebration, right?
Yeah. It's just got a certain feel.
Yeah.
Didn't it do? I always felt like that, like with Christmas or Thanksgiving. Whatever day, well, Thanksgiving's always a Thursday, but
Yeah.
whatever date or day, depending on what type of holiday it is, certain things have like a timeless feel.
Yeah.
It just feels like the 4th.
Yeah.
It feels like Christmas. It
Yeah.
feels like Easter or Thanksgiving. And I don't know, dude. I get very, like, I'm not just trying to force a theological thing. When I think of heaven,
Mm.
and I know we have not had an experience. I think I'm pretty dumb, but I'm not so dumb as to assume that we've had a day here
Right.
that will match a day there.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I think
yeah.
I know that. But I just always try to use whoever came up, was it Packer or somebody that talked about the sanctified imagination,
Mm-hmm.
to the degree that we can have a sanctified imagination and let our minds run. Some of those associated memories,
Yeah.
the feelings, the freedom, the joy, the anticipation, I just know those things are going to be full measure,
Yeah.
make us look like they were the most depressing days by comparison. And I don't know. I remember when Lisa's mother passed, Chris, I think of him as Uncle Chris, who would have been her brother-in-law, was there in the hospital, and we were talking. He's a very committed believer. He's a missionary with Navigators for a while. And he said, Greg, isn't it like she's kind of young?
Mm.
And it meant a lot to him because he knew her young.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew her much younger. She was
Sure.
probably
sure.
better. She was in her late 40s.
Yep.
But, he knew her when she was like 16 and 17,
Yeah.
in her 20s, and, what we call the prime.
Right.
And he said, so just picturing her. Woo! I don't know, dude. I
Yeah.
remember I said to Chris, that, for whatever reason, that has given me some real vibes. And I tend to think, dude, that's why I love to talk about this stuff, nostalgia.
Yeah.
Because if we can kind of harness it.
Yeah.
I used to say when the kids were young, well, what's heaven like? And I'd say, well, give me like your best day. And I think Ben, talked about like a Hershey Park day.
Yep.
When he was maybe 7 or 8. He said, oh, yeah, that was great. That was great. And he says, is heaven going to be like that? I said, no. It's going to make that look like one of your sick days.
Yeah.
I said, and think how much better it must be.
Yeah.
A better country, a better place. So
Yeah.
getting a little
Dude, well, it
mystical, spiritual here.
It just goes to show how much we lack in our thought and imagination, right? When we think of heaven, and don't get me wrong, I love the Sunday morning experience
Yeah.
that we have, right?
Yeah.
I love the fellowship, I love the worship, I love the teaching of the Word of God, right? All
Really,
of those
dude?
things.
Have you been here when I've taught?
Okay, so Matt teaches every once
Oh,
in a while.
good.
Matt-
Okay. That's good. You should have qualified that. The Sundays Matt teaches.
well, you notice I wasn't here this past Sunday when.
Exactly. I see how it goes. Yes.
No, but those things, like, they stir my heart, right?
Yeah.
But I think sometimes we think about those things in terms of like that's what the experience with God is supposed to be like.
Yeah.
Why do we have the Word of God?
Yeah.
It's because he's actually physically not with us.
Right.
God had to reveal himself in another way.
Right.
Right? How did Adam and Eve know God?
Yeah.
They walked with him in the cool of the day.
Yeah.
Right? I do not imagine, and I could be wrong on this, and let's be real, if I am, I'll be in heaven and I won't care.
Right.
I don't imagine we're going to need a Bible.
Right.
I don't imagine that we're going to need an official Sunday worship service.
Dude, I'm with you 1,000%.
Right?
Well, here I always say it, dude. My job it's going to end, and I'm going to need me
Right.
to preach.
Right.
Hey, Dutcher, shut up. What are you talking about?
Right?
Look, we're with him.
Nobody's attending your services.
Your service, yeah. It was that cute thing you did down there. We are a long path, and do what? And I think I'm going to be quite happy.
Right?
Yep. Never going to flap my jaws again to tell people about a Jesus they can't see or that might feel distant in their trial or their struggle, because I'm totally with you, dude.
Yeah.
It's just we're there. It's
Yeah.
the ever, who knows what adventure, what exhilaration, the things for which we were created are there for us. But I'm so with you, and I think, dude, I think we kind of didn't really have an agenda for this conversation, but I think we may organically have gotten there somehow. 4th of July, nostalgia, preview, taste of what's ahead.
Yeah, and I think, man, to your point, the best days that I've had.
Yeah.
That's every day with God that I can't even imagine, because the best days that I've had here on earth just will pale in comparison.
I know.
Right. And so
you've had some good days.
Yeah.
Right. So have I. Some really amazing days that you're like, wow.
Yeah. I mean, so much so that, right, you've talked about this before. You have that unexpected good day, and then you try to duplicate it, and it never works.
Never works. Can't do it. Nope.
And the idea is just because it happened, right? It was organic. It was unexpected.
Yes.
Right? Everything in heaven is going to be unexpected.
Yeah.
Right? And we're never going to get bored of all the things that we're going to learn, of all the things that we're going to discover, of all the things that we're going to see, of the people that we're with, of Jesus, right? All of it is just going to be freshly just, man, this is good. Yeah. This is good, right?
Yeah.
I oftentimes think about, the concept of space travel, right? That's, something that to me would just be so cool, right? To experience that, and, and thinking about how vast our universe is, and how many light years things are, right? Our galaxy, 100,000 light years. So if we could travel the speed of light, 100,000 years to travel across our galaxy, right?
Wow.
What's that in the face of eternity?
I know.
Right?
I know.
100,000 year blink of an eye. It's like, oh, how was it? Oh, it was great. You should try it, right?
Yeah. I'll see you in 100,000 years.
Yeah.
And it won't really
matter. And it won't really matter.
Because we've got the next 500,000 years are going to be nothing. I mean, it's an incredible thought. The everlasting now.
Yeah. And that's the thing that just is so amazing about what do we have to look forward to? Everything.
Yeah.
We have everything to look forward to, right? You're telling me, that the thing that we enjoyed and celebrated here on the 4th, right? The family, the nostalgia, the relationship, the food, all of that stuff. Man, eternity?
Yep.
Oh, that's what we long for.
Yeah, and it's a permanence, dude. That's why I do use that phrase. A seminary professor of mine always used it, Dr. Sjogren, the everlasting now. It's what we experience here is this thing, and then it fades.
Yeah.
And we're okay, and that's why, like you said, we try to recreate it. Oh, we can't quite get it back. But what if there is a now that is just fully realized, kind of just endless bliss, joy, expanding capacities for experiences, and I mean, we're almost out on the edge of the philosophical pool where we just run into a wall. I don't know what to say. But the little bit I can go in that sanctified imagination thinks it's incredible. I don't know, dude. That's probably a good place to stop on our. Have we gone about 30?
Yeah.
I mean,
we
were aiming for a little shorter one to kick off summer.
Yeah, and looking forward to we're gonna be doing some deep dives into some of our other topics. I'll just give those away, kind of round out our time. So next week we're going to be looking at spiritual habits when our schedules fall apart. Right, it's so easy to maintain your habits and your pace and your rhythm. I know so many parents who, while they love summer, look forward to the fall.
Yep.
Getting back into that rhythm and habit and pattern with their children. So how do we maintain those spiritual habits and discipline when that schedule falls apart? Then the following week, we're going to be talking about, as you said, church attendance throughout the summer.
Maybe a special guest on that one.
Special guest on that one, but also with that, I think service.
Yeah.
Right. Looking at service, because that has to deal with attendance. And then week 4, because we actually have 5 weeks here in July.
Yeah.
Week 4, we're going to be looking at really the idea of using the summer to be missional and intentional with the gospel. So things like hospitality, barbecue, right?
Ooh.
Perfect time. Invite people over, invite your neighbors over who don't know Christ, and build those relationships and be intentional with the mission of the gospel there. And then finally, we're going to just conclude with this idea of second chances, right? A summer as a good time to refresh and restart.
Ooh.
Oftentimes we focus on New Year, right? Like those resolutions and fresh start. But maybe start thinking about summer as that fresh start.
Summer of second chances. Oh,
so
dude, I'm excited about the month.
Yeah,
I'm excited about the 4th. I hope everybody enjoys their traditions. And
that's right.
And let us know if somebody says we do something totally different. I always love to hear what people do.
Yeah, and let us know your thoughts on what we kind of riffed it into. And again, we really weren't planning it. And
we know that, dude, somebody throws us a topic, we'll be fine.
That's right.
Let's just kick it around.
That's right. So let us know what you think. You think about the concept of eternity and spending, eternity with Christ, right? Are your thoughts kind of the typical angels, halos, wings, harps, sitting on clouds, singing Kumbaya?
Ooh, I hope not.
Right?
I'm quite sure it isn't, but I don't know if too many people are looking forward to that.
Yeah, no.
But, I'm trusting there is an exhilaration awaiting that will be like nothing we've ever experienced.
Looking forward to, my friend. Until the next time,
sir,
we just rock the Casbah.
Thank you again for listening to These Go to 11, an unchurchy conversation about everyday faith. Once again, please make sure you like, subscribe, and review on your favorite podcast platform. And if you ever find yourself in the Forest Hill, Maryland area, please feel free to stop by at 135 Industry Lane, and you can get all of our service times and information at christfc.org.
These go to 11.